All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig in a Pickle Crew Show with a little Golden State Warriors video. And check out Pig in a Pickle, 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in both spots from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. It's all great, but go get the brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. You are going to love Pig in a Pickle. All right, let's talk a little Warriors. One of the odd moves of the offseason was the Warriors trading Jordan Poole, a 24-year-old player, to acquire Chris Paul, a 38-year-old point guard. And it's just been an odd fit the entire time. Now, the Warriors are saying all the right things. They want to take care of the basketball, and Chris Paul will do that. They want to be a smarter team. There's no question they'll be smarter in the half court with Chris Paul than they were with Jordan Poole. They say that it fits what they want to do. But in reality, if you ask me, did the Warriors make that trade because they think Chris Paul's better than Jordan Poole? No. They felt like Chris Paul's contract was going to be easier to move down the road than Jordan Poole. They moved an asset in Jordan Poole for another asset that they feel like they can easily move. Why? Because it's a $30 million plus expiring deal, and there's lots of teams that will want that $30 million expiring deal so that they can kind of hit the reset on their own franchise. I kind of look at the Chris Paul-Jordan Poole trade the same way I looked at the Kevin Durant deal that brought D'Lo to the Warriors, D'Angelo Russell. Was D'Lo a fit with the Warriors? Hell no. He was a terrible fit. Ball dominant, pounds the dribble, black hole who never passes the ball. He just was not a good fit, but it was a brilliant move. It may have been one of the best moves of the last regime. It may have been one of Bob Myers' very, very best moves. Why? Because it saved the salary spot and it gave the Warriors an asset that they could deal. Now, they acquired him, and they acquired D'Angelo Russell, and less than a year later, they moved off of him. And what did they get in return? They got Andrew Wiggins. Oh, and a draft choice. And that draft choice became Jonathan Kuminga. And the Warriors won another title with Wiggins as a key factor there post Kevin Durant. So without that trade, they don't win that title. I think that's abundantly clear. So at the time when KD was walking out the door and people said, so you got D'Lo in a return, people were like not very excited about D'Lo and didn't see the fit. And then when you watched, and the Warriors said all the right things at the time, we like D'Lo and this and that, and he'll fit in, and we're excited to have D'Angelo, and all this stuff, that the obligatory comments that you have to make anytime you make a trade like that. But that trade was more about the next trade, which ultimately netted the Warriors Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga, and ultimately netted them another ring. Well, I get the sense that the Jordan Poole thing with Chris Paul is exactly the same thing. Chris Paul is 38. If Chris Paul's even healthy by the time the playoffs roll around, I'll be shocked. He's a 38-year-old point guard. Does he make the Warriors smarter? Yeah. But he also makes them smaller and weaker defensively. I mean, that's a tiny backcourt now. And Chris Paul wants to start. He's got a big ego, and he's going to want to finish. And it's not the most difficult. It's not the most easy fit with their culture. And, how's he going to get along? How's the whole thing going to work out? It seems very volatile. It doesn't seem like it makes sense. It makes them older on a team that already has a ton of age. It makes them weaker defensively, and it makes them smaller. So why? Why Chris Paul? Because Chris Paul and his expiring deal is way easier to trade than Jordan Poole and his bloated, overpaid contract for a guy who doesn't play any defense either, lives to go to the foul line, but then doesn't ever want to go to the foul line, and had a terrible, eroding relationship with the refs. I bring this all up because today I want to talk a little bit about what I think the next move is when it comes to Chris Paul. Yesterday we saw Damian Lillard moved in a deal to Milwaukee. And essentially that makes the Bucks with Giannis and Lillard probably the preeminent favorite to get out of the East. At the same time, it moves Jrue Holiday to the rebuilding Blazers. Well, Jrue Holiday, whose brother Justin Holiday once upon a time played for the Warriors, would be a great fit on the Warriors. West Coast guy who played at UCLA, 5-time all-defensive member, a bigger-bodied guy, more like 6'4", 6'5", a guy who more naturally could play with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in the backcourt and blend much better to this Warrior team. So just read an article this morning on NBC Sports Bay Area about how Brian Windhorst of ESPN throws the Warriors out there as maybe a future home for Jrue Holiday. This makes a lot of sense. And to make this move happen, you'd have to move Chris Paul in his $30 million contract. In fact, you might have to move more than that. I think, Windhorst said that Jrue Holiday's making $33 million, or $36 million, I believe, where, Chris Paul makes 30. So you might have to move, another piece. Maybe a Kuminga, maybe a Moody in draft picks, maybe a Pajemski. You may have to throw another piece in there to make this all work. But if you're Portland and you're looking to hit the reset and you're looking to move on from Jrue Holiday's $36 million contract and turn this thing over as fast as possible, the fastest way they can do it is to find another piece that's, an expiring deal that makes $30 million plus, so that they can turn around and either move that guy at the deadline to another team for younger pieces, or potentially just let that deal expire and take the cap savings or become an instant player in free agency. So while it sounds outlandish that the Warriors would trade for Chris Paul and then turn around and trade him for Jrue Holiday, I think it makes a lot of sense. You put Jrue Holiday on the Warriors, and they may be he may have the same impact on the Warriors that Andrew Wiggins had and Jonathan Kuminga had on the Warriors. Jrue Holiday might help the Warriors get over and win that last ring that they seek so desperately for Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. The Warriors are at the end of their championship run, but a guy like Jrue Holiday, would make them bigger, better defensively. He would blend better with Steph and Klay. He's probably going to be healthier long term. I think you got a much better chance of getting by the Nuggets and getting back to the finals with Jrue Holiday than you do on wishing that 38-year-old Chris Paul somehow is going to be healthy in the 23-24 season, and somehow, you're going to get a healthy season out of Chris Paul, and he's going to be playing really good quality basketball in May and June when this title is contended for in the playoffs. I think that's kind of a dream scenario. Could it happen? Could Chris Paul have a dial-back season, stay healthy on the Warriors, lead them to a bunch of extra wins, blend in perfectly with Steph, Klay, and Draymond, be nothing but a stellar Warrior all the way through, stay healthy until the playoffs, and be part of a championship core? It could happen, but I'd give it more like a 3 to 5% chance of happening. But if the Warriors somehow, as Windy indicated, could actually turn around, flip Chris Paul to Portland, allow Portland to get down the rebuilding road, bring in Jrue Holiday, add another, younger player. Now, he's not a baby. He's still in his 30s, but he's much more in his prime than Chris Paul. He's a far better defender than Chris Paul. And free up Steph Curry on the offensive end by letting Holiday guard some of the best alpha point guards in the league. You go up against Ja Morant in Memphis, you put Jrue Holiday on Ja if you want, and you free up Steph to do other things on the offensive end. To me, it makes a lot of sense. Now, you'd have to sweeten the pot. You'd probably have to move a Pajemski. You may have to move a Moody or a Pajemski. Heck, you may have to move a future draft pick to make it all happen. I'd do it. I would do it because I see Jrue Holiday the same way I saw Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga for D'Lo. It's the move that makes sense. And it's the move that might reopen the Warriors championship window. So I know there are many other teams that Windy named as potential, spin-off deals for the Blazers that include Jrue Holiday. Sacramento's on that list, and there's 4 or 5 other teams that would love to have Jrue Holiday because Jrue Holiday's a nice piece. He's a really good player. He's a two-way player. He's a good player on offense. He's a phenomenal player on defense. So there'll be a market for Jrue Holiday. But the Warriors may have a key piece in that $30 million expiring contract that Chris Paul represents. And Jrue Holiday would be a wonderful fit with Steph and Clay. And you know what? That might not be enough to get by Denver, but I'll take my chances. If you said you can have Chris Paul with this group and trying to win Steph another ring, or Jrue Holiday with, instead of Chris Paul, with, added to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in the backcourt and try to win a ring that way, I'm taking Jrue Holiday every day of the week. So, Mike Dunleavy, make it happen. The sooner the better. If you can flip Chris Paul for Jrue Holiday and somehow get Holiday into this mix, I think your chances of getting Steph that one more ring go way, way up. All right, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks to Pig in a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to all you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.